Renegades, welcome back. This is Nat's Chats, and this week we're going to be talking about the previous first video reaction, which was to Kujo Beat Down. I absolutely love this song, and oh my goodness, I've watched it so many times since that first reaction and picked up on so much more. Blown away. I gave you a bit of a chuckle because I did mention that apparently it was more of a lighter version, so that says a lot about my personality, but I just had a hoot watching Kujo being beaten down there. Yes. Wanted to mention something too. So I've just done a quick playback of the first reaction for the Tale of Jenny and Screech. I literally just did that now, and I've noticed that I'm actually not giving you guys a lot of eye contact, and I'm looking like away from the camera a lot. I do apologize for that, but bit of a predicament when you're doing the first live reactions to these videos because I can't do the setup. So I have to have somebody come in and do like the sound and roll the video and do this, that and the other, just so I don't see anything. They also will, if I do print off the lyrics, they'll print off the lyrics, and so I don't see any of that or print any of that off. Just to make sure that it's as authentic as possible, I did a bit of a change of the structure of what's in front of me. So I guess what with the lyrics and the stories and just trying to keep up with the Tale of Jenny and Screech, I just, my eye level is a little bit off. So I'll have that fixed by next week, and yes, I will be addressing you directly for Nat's Chats. So, Kujo Beat Down. Absolute classic diss track. Had such a great time with that one, guys. And you commented, you got on the bandwagon again. Absolutely love that. And I'd just like to highlight a few comments. But before I do this, I'm quite disappointed in myself because there is this really, just a really impactful line, guys, that got me. And it's about, you know, I am the hope. He talks about the hope when you tighten the noose on the rope, and yeah, it just got me. So you can go back, I'll put the link in the description below for that video so you can go and look and see what I'm talking about. But I just totally missed the reference to that in the Kujo Beat Down. So he actually references hope a lot, and it's very much this it's almost like the dark and the light Ren, if you will, more of the angel and devil. But it's so interesting because when I did the reaction for High Ren, I actually really didn't like the character that was really dark and being mean to him and like talking him down. But it's just so interesting in this essence. I actually really liked that character, and I think it just shows that because it was well deserved, and because, you know, sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. I hated that character so much in High Ren, but in this one I was almost on that character's side. And then you have, you know, the light Ren or the good Ren that's trying to talk his self out of doing the diss track and out of teaching Kujo a lesson. I just found that really interesting. Yeah, so the lyrics that I totally missed, I can't even believe this, was and the last time we did this, the hope did prevail. Now the hope is the rope that will choke a bitch pale. So it is really referencing High Ren when he's talking about hope. I just find that really clever. And I'm really excited to get into more songs just to see if there's any other kind of Easter eggs and references in the future. So I just did want to highlight that because, again, you watch the video, it was just something really got me, and I can't believe I missed the reference to hope in here. And obviously I got the High Ren. So let's start with our first comment, shall we? Okay, so this is from @Kitty_in_the_garden, which I love the name, by the way. It's absolutely fabulous. You got a few of the details a bit muddled, but close enough. It's worth watching Ren's explanation video. Yeah, so I did give a bit of history. Like I said, it was a little bit difficult for me to get into because I didn't want to, you know, go too far down the rabbit hole and get too much information on the song when I was doing my first reaction. So I have done that, and yes, I get the explanation there. So thank you so much for that recommendation. I had a question. There's a guy, it's like the first frame of the video, and he's kind of stood a little bit off screen and he's holding a phone, and it has some kind of timer on it. So Kitty says that's Josh Styles at the beginning of the video. He's a friend of Ren's and works with him filming videos and doing all sorts of cool stuff. Multi-talented guy. Ren likes to break the fourth wall in a lot of his art. I think by having this at the beginning and then the text at the end, he is putting bookends around the video and saying, yes, these are my real feelings, but I'm expressing them in an artistic way and not being violent in real life. He is making a point to his fans that he doesn't want anyone to harass or bully Kujo Beats. Very good point. Like, thank you so much for this insight. I had no idea. So yeah, Josh Styles, I just find that a very interesting choice. And, you know, the fourth wall, I'm just a really big fan of any kind of artist that breaks that. I just find that it really brings the listener or the viewer into that. It makes it more realistic. And at the end, there was a disclaimer as well that said that he doesn't condone bullying of any type, and that he has expressed all of these viewpoints already, I guess. So yeah, just kind of tying that up. So I did look into this a little bit further as well, just because I wanted to know why was I think it was like 2:12 or something on the timer that it like then he pulled it away, and apparently it was the phone represents social media, because obviously the girlfriend was going on social media, so it kind of represents the darkness that social media can have and the harassment. And also the way that they communicated in the beginning was via text messages, and they were quite nasty text messages, so that's what the phone represents. And then from what I can gather as well is like the timer is before it went like through the legal battle, and he's not referring this to meaning this legally, he actually did give Kujo a deadline to resolve this, and the timer represents the deadline and how he went past the deadline. I also kind of felt when I watched it back a second time that it was almost like, you know, if you watch a boxing fight or something, I felt as though it was almost like a build up to, yeah, like the beginning of a boxing fight or something like that. That's kind of how I felt. So thank you so much for this insight, Kitty. I really appreciate it. So at Mr_W_Games_from_Twitch 1324, I was thinking here as you're talking, and I think about it. Ren wrote a diss track without taking any personal shots at Kujo, just calling out his actions. He didn't talk about Kujo's failing music career, his looks, his, from what I've heard, one-legged girlfriend, which, wow, that's pretty interesting. His looks, his past, his family. He called out the issue in Kujo's poor actions. How many diss tracks can say they crushed someone without the cheap shots? And this is a really great point. I've not even thought of this. So I was kind of reflecting on your comment here. And yeah, I just find it's pretty amazing really how he just stuck to the facts of what happened during that time and during the backwards and forwards. And he could have taken the cheap shots, but that's just not who Ren is. I also find as well that Kujo had, you know, there was a lot of blood there. There was a lot of, it looked like violence. He had a cut on his head, but at no point did you actually see a violent act. All of the beatdown was in Ren's words. And I think it just shows you that words do cut deep and words do hurt. So just be careful what you say and be careful what you wish for there. Diana Logan 743. Ren said he swapped places with Kujo in the chair because he was showing he also felt Kujo's side of the whole ordeal with his beats. I hope that makes sense. Great reaction. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, so there was a bit that I actually rewound during this reaction because I saw a bit of a change in the scene. It was when Ren was in Kujo's face, and I kind of, when I rewound it, I saw that Ren at one point, you see the pig mask, but Ren switches places with Kujo, and Ren's actually in the chair at one point. So I just found it really interesting. It was a little bit of a change. And I think this is a really, really good perspective to have. That in the beginning, when there's that kind of reference a little bit to the high Ren, you have the darkness and you have the light, they're kind of arguing, they're kind of trying to figure out what to do with this situation. Do we teach Kujo a lesson? Do we take the high road? I think during that time as well, he is trying to be the bigger person and try and see Kujo's point of view, which is why he didn't want to, blow this up and do the diss track. Another thing to mention too is I did go back and look at the lyrics. In that specific moment when he does do the switch in the chair, he says, "Fear me, I hope you wake up sweating from your nightmares. See me," that's when he goes into the chair, "I'm the sick boy you enslaved." So I find that he's obviously done it at that point, because I was just thinking about Ren, and he goes on to saying that I put my whole soul into my words, bleed me, I put my whole soul into my words, and into his work as well. So I reckon that potentially during this time of the backwards and forwards between him and Kujo and all this kind of drama that it caused, he's trying to cause at this moment, is trying to put Kujo into those nightmares, but those were potentially Ren's nightmares because of this awful situation that came upon him, and the fact that he just wanted to have his work and creativity out there, and he didn't ask for any of this. So I do feel as though that he's potentially had a lot of sleepless nights himself, Ren, with having to deal with all the stress that this has caused. Thank you so much for that comment. I loved it. This is from Caladon2659. The more I hear from Ren, and the more I realise his solution is to be a teacher opening the eyes of millions with his art and his heart. And I think Ren's message is crystal clear. Ambition and passion without compassion will cause the world to burn. But ambition and passion with compassion can save it. But when compassion becomes a target for others' greed, then the truly compassionate must stand up and acknowledge that injustice and greed must be confronted and addressed. Even 1,000 years ago, rulers would caution you, don't mess with a bard, or your descendants will curse you for 100 generations. And I think this really just sums up the song, and the reason why Ren did this in the end is because sometimes there are those people that just push it and push it and push it, and they just need to get taught a lesson. The truly compassionate must stand up and acknowledge that injustice and greed must be confronted. And that in this case, it was Ren. I just really, really liked it. I think it's a really good summary to the video and, you know, just to the story really between Kujo and Ren. So thank you so much for your comments. I thoroughly enjoy every week. I sit down, I read every single one of them. And you guys have taught me so much. So I will look forward to seeing you guys next week for another Nats Chats. In the meantime, a happy new year, and I'll see you in 2026. Bye guys.